Hey, everyone, welcome again to this week's training. Ray O'Daniel here, and I know we're going to have to wait a little bit. I know I may still be logging in, but first of all, if you're watching this, I just want to sit back and apologize. I have been traveling. I had to come back into the U.S. I was in the Dominican Republic, and I had to come back into the U.S. to take care of some business here. I'm visiting for a little bit, and then I'm going to be heading back out next week. So this weather has been a little bit different, going from sort of tropical, very humid, kind of to dry, colder air, and it's really messed with my sinuses. So I just want to say apologize. I've got some coffee here, some water, just to kind of keep my throat dry, and I'm going to have to drink a little bit because talking just kind of dries me out here. So just waiting for people to get kind of logged in, but the topic that I really want to go over today is something that it comes up from time to time, especially with people who are building SaaS agencies. When you're first getting started, you're really not worried about setting up any kind of a ticketing or support system or how do your clients submit a request to you kind of thing, because you're just so busy worrying about onboarding, getting clients to begin with, doing your marketing. But as you start getting clients, then what you start finding is people start emailing you questions, people start calling you, people start texting you, and they text you on your phone number, maybe your cell phone, then they text you on your business line, or they email you in different places, or maybe they email your VA and not you. And what you're finding is that this is very frustrating to sort of streamline this whole ticketing process of how do you streamline the communication of all of these your clients sort of into Highlevel. How do you do that? Now, I've set up some frameworks for you here. Okay. So I'm going to apologize here. I didn't really spend the time. It took me like a day or two to literally sit back and build out a full implemented help desk system that completely works. Right now, I've just kind of built out a framework so that you guys can decide which way works best for you and maybe implement one of them and be good enough. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So forgive me. I don't have a full-fledged demo, but I have all of the pieces, and I'm going to go over all the pieces that you're going to need to put in place in order to accomplish just putting together a support system. So, hey, Sean, I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. So, right now, how is everything with the volume? My ears are kind of clogged, so I feel like I'm really yelling. I feel the echo in my head. If you ever had that stuffiness and you kind of feel like when you're talking, it just echoes and boom, just banging in your head. So forgive me about that if I'm yelling a little bit here. But great, I just want to make sure that everything's all good. Now, whenever I'm going to get into sort of my screen and then be able to sit back and show you some of the parts and pieces. But on my affiliate calls, again, I get a lot of people who are building systems, and as they start getting clients, they contact me back because they're like, okay, Ray, now we're starting to get clients. How do we start building this system? And I kind of go over some of the same frameworks with them on private Zoom calls that we have, just saying, hey, here's a way that you can set up a ticketing system. Now, I'm going to be completely upfront. Highlevel is not a help desk ticketing system. It is not. There are other ones out there that are just better at it, but if you don't have a large amount of volume, again, if you set up your services right and you set the services up to where they just work, once you set them up, they just continue to work and work and work. And then your VAs or yourself can sit back and monitor them and maintain them, then you're all good to go. So your support request should be at a minimum, especially if your onboarding process is on point. So if it is on point and everything is good to go, and this is what a lot of people struggle with is like, you don't have to have onboarding perfect in the beginning because you don't know what you don't know. And as you go through the onboarding process, you're going to find out that, oh, right, I need to make sure I include this in my onboarding process. So literally for your first, probably dozen, if not 20 clients, you're going to continually be updating your onboarding SOP, standard operating procedure, for how you onboard to include different things to make sure that the next time you onboard somebody, it's a little bit more efficient. And then finally, you're going to get to the point where your onboarding process is truly on point. Boom, you've got everything done and you've got no problems. Everything just works fine. And at that point, now you've got a truly functional system. So, but again, up to that point, people still might want to submit a request. They might still want it, maybe an update to their website. They might want you to add a different action to a workflow. They might want to be sending out text messages now instead of just emails. So these are all the things that you can have your clients say, hey, if you have any requests whatsoever, please use our ticketing system. Submit the request to us, and then our team will respond back to us because that is the system that works best and most efficient for us. So now, just to give you guys a little bit of a background, if you've watched some of my videos, I have an IT background, which honestly kind of makes a high level a little bit easier for me. I've 19 years as an IT professional. I did all kinds of the Microsoft, Novell, Cisco, wiring, LAN, WAN, database. I did development. I did all of that stuff in my career of 19 years. So I've dealt with several help desk systems and help desk ticketing systems. So I'm just trying to use a couple of the basic components that I've seen or I remember in those systems into the system I'm going to show you now. So right now, again, this is a little bit different. I don't have my full setup with me because I'm traveling light. But let me see if I can share my screen here. Let me, I'm going to share this out. And please ask your questions. I don't have the questions in real time. I do have to bounce back over and just see your questions, but please ask them, and then I'm gonna check on them periodically. But right now, if everybody can please just if somebody can let me know, do you see my screen? Is everybody seeing my screen before I move forward? Because I've done that before and I felt really stupid. So oh, awesome. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your feedback on that one. So perfect. So right now, here's I'm going to hop back over here. So let's kind of start out with the different pieces. First of all, you're going to need to have a user interface for the client to fill something out. Now, there are several things inside of Highlevel that you can use for that, and I'm going to go over several of them here. Now, once you have the system to input, then what you need is the automation piece, and again, these are all workflows, but you need the automation piece to handle the information that the customer just submitted, or customer, I mean client. So forgive me for that. So you're going to need to do something. How do you process it? What do you want to do? What do you want to create? How do you want your team to respond to this? These are the things that you need to be able to sit back and handle inside of the workflows. Okay. And then finally, you need a delivery method. You need a method of getting that support system easily to all of your clients. And how do you do that? So right now, what I want to do here, this is, again, one of my demo accounts. And what I want to do is hop into my sites area. And I want to go over a couple different things. First of all, there's different ways of handling this depending upon your particular need. And I'm going to go over the pros and cons. So forgive me, this is going to be a little bit kind of extensive. One of the first things you can use is just a basic form. Okay. So I'm going to go to forms and go to the form builder. And I'm just going to go, and I've created just a very basic help desk form. Now, with a help desk form, here's one of the things that you need to be able to do. If a client logs in with the help desk form, the thing about it is that you're going to need to tie the help desk request with a customer in your system. Now, as we're going to see a little bit later on, the way we deliver that, we're going to be using custom links inside of Highlevel, and I'll go over that with you. But when you use that and they actually log in and access the Highlevel's website or Highlevel's funnel, however you're doing this, will not have access to the customer or user information that they're logging in with, because it's just going to be like a person visiting your website from the public. Although this won't be accessible from the public, and I'll show you why. But you'll need to at least collect their email as an identifier to who the person is that's submitting the support request. Now, whenever you do that, now Highlevel can use that email address as a key identifier to tie them to a contact record inside of your account. So those things will match. Okay. So all the ones that we're looking for, at least for right now, do require to have an email component. Now, for those people that are a little bit more advanced, and I chose not to include that on this presentation because it's a little bit more mind-blowing. But for those people that are, I will let you know, you can use things like query keys to auto-populate emails inside of here. So, and I'll just leave it at that. So, and if you ever come over here and you take a look, I'm just going to try to blow this up. Do you ever see inside of here, you've got this query key? You ever wonder what that was inside of the form field? And what this is, it's a way of you to pass information into the form directly via the link that you actually send people to. So if you're sending people to a link, you can send people to a link and then do like a forward slash. I think it's an ampersand. Um, and then you put in the query key, email equals, and then put their email. And then what happens is that the form can now look at the email option because the email is actually inside of the URL here, this URL that gets passed here inside of the form, and it could pull that information out and then auto populate the information on the form. And when you do that, you can actually have this hidden. I've got it required, but I can hide this email form from public view as long as the query key is being submitted, because the email field will automatically pick that up and populate it. Now, for those people that are advanced, you probably understood that, but I don't want to go any further because I don't want to blow your mind on this. We've got a lot of information right now, but there is a way to do it. Query keys is how you do it, so I'll just leave it at that. But for right now, I made them just simple to where people can just put in their email address, and then they put in like these are some custom fields that I created. High level area is a custom field, and then high level area problem. So if you've ever went through high level support, you know that whenever they fill out the high level area, that they that you have like a list of like what area are you from? You know, what area do you need help with? And for here, I just populated it: contacts, automation, sites, custom fields, just to give you guys an example. Now I'm going to go back and preview this real quick here. So let's let this pop up. And of course, you can't see it because I'm not sharing my whole screen. That's very frustrating. But anyway, I know we're limited on how I'm displaying this. But right now, if you display this, let me just see if is it possible I can share something else here? No, I'd have to stop sharing. But let me just do that. I at least want to be able to do this and then show you what I mean here. So this right here is again what the form looks like. And again, I'm not going to go back and forth on all the things that we're going to look at here. I'm just going to show you what it looks like in the high level designer, and then you're just going to have to understand what it looks like. I will show you what these look like because I've got all these built into a funnel, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But here you'll put in their email. They'll click choose a high level area. Let's just say they have a problem with automations. You know, want to add a new workflow to handle customers, whatever. So they're going to submit this, and then when they submit it, submit the ticket, and then it's going to go into again, you can have a workflow with a trigger that has like on this form submission, then do this kind of thing. Okay, so that's kind of how. So I'm going to stop sharing that one. Forgive me, I know we're back and forth here, but so anyway, I just wanted to show you what that looks like. So this using a form is one way to do this. Now, you can also be as complicated as you want on this one here, depending upon your needs. Let me just see if there's any questions here. Okay, awesome. Hey, Chad, welcome. Awesome. So right now, this is kind of how it looks. And again, you can build out as many form fields as you want. My advice is try to keep it as simplistic as possible. Don't make it complicated. Keep things simple. What area do you need and what do you need? You might not even have an area. You just might have email and what is your problem? What do you want? Kind of submission. That might be good enough. So again, let's kind of go back to just thinking of the components that I spoke about earlier. You need a user interface. Now, a form is one way to do it. Now, I will sit back and tell you this. This is one problem that you're going to have with forms. When you submit a form, this particular form, if you remember what I said, these are custom fields. So inside of here, I created a help desk ticket group, and I dragged the high level area and high level problem. Here's the issue with that. When a customer submits a help desk ticket, boom, it goes in there, and these high level area and high level problems are populated inside of the contact record, right? Correct. Now, what happens if the person submits another ticket, a second ticket? What do you think happens to the first data in the high level area and the high level area problem? What do you think happens to the data in the first ticket? It gets overridden by the submission from the second ticket. So really, the custom fields only show the most recent ticket data. Now, that's a problem, especially if you have people submitting multiple tickets. If that's the case, then you have a problem with how to handle this because each ticket now is not going to be unique, if that makes sense, because it's going to be overwritten. You can only have like one ticket at a time kind of thing, and there's no way to kind of keep track of your tickets. So that's the problem with the form view on this one here. Again, I don't know what your needs are, but that's one way of handling it. Now, another way of handling this is using a survey. Now, most people don't think of surveys as a way of surveys. Again, just think about what a survey is. It's a way of collecting data, okay, from somebody. And the good thing is Highlevel also has workflow triggers for when surveys are submitted. So again, you can still have a workflow trigger fire whenever somebody submits a survey. And surveys can also be displayed on a funnel page. So those are all benefits of why using a survey could possibly be a reason for this. Now, surveys, again, they have pros and cons. I'm going to open this up. And again, here's the exact same kind of thing that I built. Email, high-level area, high-level problem. Now, surveys can also have a little bit of a benefit because inside of surveys, now you can actually have logic inside of here if you want to. This is something if you want to, like if you click here and notice over here, you can have this as a required field, but you can say if somebody selects context, then what do you want to do? And again, if I had multiple slides here, let me just add a slide. So I'm going to add a second slide, and let's just say if somebody selected contact area and they selected contacts, then I can have the survey go to a second form that's going to ask them more detailed questions about what problem with contacts are you having. Again, this goes back to how complicated or how simple you want to build your ticketing system. But here, if you clicked on this area and you go down to like contacts, notice that it says, hey, depending upon what they select, what do you want to choose? So notice here, I've got the option of selecting slide 2. So if they go to contacts, then it's going to go to slide 2. If they select automation, it can go to a different slide. It can do any one of those things that you're looking for. But for right now, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to sit back and make this simple. Come on. So I'm just going to delete this. So I'm just keeping this simple. You can use a survey. Now, surveys, you will have another benefit. They have logic, but they also have the ability to keep the submissions independent of the custom fields. Okay. So let me show you. So here you've got email, you've got the high-level area and high-level problem. Okay. So when those get submitted here, and I'm not going to do the preview because, I don't want to switch screens again here, and I'm not going to save this. That's fine. But inside of the surveys, when you submit that, you can now come down into the submission area. Now, I don't have any surveys. I didn't submit anything, but each time somebody submits that survey, the survey system keeps a record of all of those unique surveys. So the data is not necessarily, it's stored inside of the contact record because you're using custom fields, but because it's a survey, the survey data is also being kept here, inside of this record here for you to be able to take a look at. So that is, again, a benefit of using a survey because now you've got, you can choose all the surveys. You can say, give me all of the help desk ticket surveys. You can do date ranges. You can do all that stuff to find an older ticket. And this is a good way to keep track of tickets that might have been submitted in the past. So again, surveys are another way of doing that. Believe it or not, I just came out with a video, I think earlier this week on quizzes. Excuse me. So you can actually use quizzes, again, as another way to build it because the quiz builder is open to be able to do the same type of things. So again, it just has, here's the quiz, very easy. Email, high-level area problem. The only thing, if you're going to use a quiz, again, I'm just giving you the possibilities of what you can do. Whether or not you want to do them or how you want to handle this is completely up to you. Typically, when you take a quiz, you're going to end up getting to this result template right here. That's one of the default ways of like the end result of taking a quiz is you're going to show you the answers or some solution to what you need to do based upon the answers that you chose in the quiz. Now, if you want to, you can click on this little option right here and go to options. And then on submit, instead of the result template, you can choose open URL. In the open URL, this is where you can have a pre-built thank you page on a funnel. And we're going to have a funnel here. I didn't build out a thank you page, but just imagine that you have a funnel and that funnel has a thank you page. And the thank you page just says, thank you very much for submitting your help desk ticket. One of our support staff will get to your request within the next business day. And that's it. And basically, you're going to have the direct URL to the thank you page, and you're going to put that right here so that after they take the quiz, they won't go to the result page. When they submit it, it'll go right to the thank you page. And then now the people feel good because now they know that it was submitted, their ticket is in there, and everything is good to go. Okay. So that's another thing that you can do. Now, one of the things I was trying to do here, and I didn't really get to finish here on building it out. If you take a look over here on my menu system, I did create a custom object called tickets because that was something again, I'm sorry. I think that might have some possibilities of being a specific ticket because with a custom object, keep in mind, you can build a custom object to be anything. You can have custom fields for that custom object if you want to. You can set up a many to many connection, meaning each contact can have many tickets open. Does that make sense? And then now, because you're creating tickets in this different, it's an object by itself. If you come down here and look at settings and you come down and look at your objects, now you've got these ticketing objects. You can actually sit back and create details of how you want your ticket to look. You can create the associations like a many to many connection between that. But now you can kind of see all of your, if you come over here and look at your tickets, this right here would be an area that you can look at all of your ticket. You can have a ticket number if you want to, and all that information regarding to tickets. You can build that in there. I just didn't have time, but this is another possibility if you want to take a look at it, that you could use a custom object like this to do ticketing systems. And I'm going to investigate this a little bit more because I think this is a pretty cool option of maybe building out using custom objects and things like that for a help desk ticketing system. And I'll take a look at that a little bit later on. I just didn't have time to get it done before this presentation. Awesome. So no questions yet. That's great. So now I'm going to come back here. So now that we've gone over just some of the common user interfaces to how you would present that, what kind of physical interface somebody types something in and clicks submit. That's kind of the three options that I had for you that you can choose. Now, let's take a look at how you were going to deploy that. How would you've got these objects now, a survey, you've got a form, you've got a potential quiz. All of these objects now you have to put them on a page. You have to make them publicly available. How do you do that? Now, the best way, in my opinion, is just to basically use a funnel. So right now I'm going to come through and I created a help desk funnel. And it's just called Help Desk Ticketing System. Man, coffee tastes good this morning. So I'm going to come in. It's just one simple page, but this is also where you can have a secondary thank you page that says, what I told you earlier. This is where you can have it and direct people from the quiz directly to the thank you page. So inside of here, one of the nice things about Highlevel, again, many nice things about Highlevel, is there are form elements for forms right here. So you can have a form. There are form elements for, where's that? Survey. So again, if you create the survey, boom, drag and drop an element right on there. But unfortunately, there are no elements for quizzes. Okay, there aren't. So right now, I did want to show you. I'm going to show you this right here. I built this basic funnel page. So here's a headline. It's not spectacular. Help desk ticketing system. Here is just your form that we submitted. And this is one thing. And I'm combining all of these on one page so we don't have to sit back and mix and match and show up. So, but here's the survey. Here's what the survey looks like. And again, you can customize the look and feel, the blue and all the other kinds of stuff. And you can customize the background and all that other cool stuff. And then here at the bottom, we've got a custom HTML JavaScript that actually handles the embed code for the quiz. Okay, and here's where that is. Now, right now, I will show you what this looks like when we demo it, and I'm going to demo it inside of Highlevel just so that you can see it. But what I want to do is I want to show you where you get the embed code for the quizzes in case you didn't watch my other video, I think on Monday, regarding quizzes. But if you open up the particular quiz, there is an integrate button right up here at the top right. And here is an embed code that you can embed on any particular, you just use a code element. And again, one of the cool things is you could take a quiz and embed it directly on a website, a funnel page, anything like that, even if it's not inside of Highlevel. This is the cool thing. You could take this whole code and embed it just using an HTML or a code element, which most any website builder, no matter where you're building, has a code, option that allows you to copy and paste code like iframes. So, or if you want to, you can just send people a direct link here to it, and you can just email people a link, or put this link inside of a triggered link and then use the trigger link inside of your SMS and email so you know when somebody clicks on it. That would be my option of how I would like to do it. But let's kind of get back. Hopefully that makes sense. Everybody good? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Another cup of coffee? Or another drink of coffee, sorry. So, okay, so now we've got all these. We've got a funnel now that we can actually display the data to people. Now, one of the things of how do we get it to the people? How do we get it to people to be able to utilize? Now, if you noticed already, notice down here at the very bottom, I'm going to try to blow this up here. I've got this custom menu option called Help Desk Ticketing System. Doesn't that look nice? That you can have this little optional menu link right down here at the bottom. And what I want to do is I'm going to click on this and show it to you. So you click it, and then voila, your funnel just poof appears right inside of their sub account. Keep in mind, this link is inside of their sub account. You configure it at the agency, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. But you configure it at the agency level, and you say put it on all my sub accounts, and you put the link of the funnel inside of here, and then Highlevel can now display that inside of here. Now, typically you wouldn't have all three of these. Notice that that you've got the form, you've got the survey, and then you've also got the quiz. So you've got all your options, and you can type everything and submit either one of them. Obviously, you wouldn't have all three of them on there, but I wanted to do this to demonstrate how it would look just as a help desk ticketing system, something very easy, simple, and basic. Please try to keep this simple if you're implementing it, because it's going to be to your benefit to do so. The more complicated, the more problems your help desk ticket has in just operating. So anyway, this is what it looks like to have that in there. Now, before I create the link, I want to show you again how to get the URL for your funnel. So right now, this funnel doesn't necessarily need to be public on, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I guess what I'm saying is available on a domain level. So you don't have to configure it on a subdomain or your own public domain to make it publicly available. Sometimes if you've ever heard the term obscurity is the security. So when you say obscurity, it means that nobody would have the URL or the link to this thing to actually go to it, even though it was public. So let me show you what I mean by that. So here, if you go to a help desk system, here's the page. If I click on this right here to view page, it's going to open up. And again, I know you guys can't see it, can't see this, but it's going to open up the page. And what it's going to have, it's going to have a URL. And it's going to have basically like a preview URL. And, you could take that URL if you want to, and then copy it and paste it into, this if you want to. Now, that was, I'm going to copy this particular link right here. And again, I know you guys can't see it because it's not on the same screen. But here, if you're going to go and let's click back to the agency, let's go to settings, and let's come down here to custom menu links. So custom menu links is how we're going to create this. Now, I've already got this help desk system created, but I want to show you real quick. If you just create new, there's not a lot to this. This is not difficult. So you're going to say, what icon do you want? I just typed in help here and just pick that one. So you can pick any one that you want. There are lots of different icons to choose from, but basically, what icon do you want on the menu? Notice that icon was there. So I'm just going to choose one. The link title. This is where you can name it. You can just call it, ticketing system. That's fine. Here's where it's going to need the URL. So I can paste this, this preview link in there if I want to. And, Highlevel will display it because that's the link that it knows it goes to that particular funnel. If you want to create it on a subdomain, there's no reason why you can't, as long as nobody knows about it. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want people publicly to be able to log in and just start populating all of your, help desk tickets, spamming you in a sense, if that makes sense. So you don't want that to happen. So I'm just using this particular preview link. Now, when this is clicked, when the menu is clicked, what do you want to have happen? I always leave it as open the link currently in the window embedded inside of Highlevel window. So inside of the sub account, you don't want somebody clicking on the menu option and then having it pop up another screen. You could do that if you want to, and you could say open up in a new tab here or open in current window. So again, when you do that, you're taking people out away from Highlevel. And there's really no need to. If you build it inside of Highlevel integrates well with itself, if that makes sense. So I would just leave it as embedded as an iframe, inside of that little window that we saw before. Now, here's some of the preferences. The sidebar. Do you want this menu to show on the agency view? Probably not. So you want to uncheck that. You don't want this that menu option to be at the agency level. You just want it to be at the sub account level. Perfect. Now, you also get the option of what sub accounts do you want this to be on? So you can pick and choose. You can be very specific if you want to, or you could just come here and just say all sub accounts. Perfect. Not a problem. If you want to exclude certain accounts, you can sit back and exclude ones. So you could do it that way rather than picking all of them. Let's just say you have 100 sub accounts and you don't want 2 of them. Rather than going through and having to say, okay, select all these 98, I'm just going to say select all and then exclude the 2. Does that make sense? So if you want to exclude like your own business, like your own personal sub account for your business, if you don't want to see that, exclude your own sub account. That'd be a great example of that. Role visibility. This is going to be important. And if you click here, do you want all users? Do you want a user within the system? Or do you want an admin? Okay. So again, this goes back to again, we'll sit back. Anybody that has an account in the sub account will see the link. Okay. And be able to submit a help desk ticket. Now, you can limit this for this. And in my personal opinion, is probably make this only available to admins. Okay. Because ultimately, if you have an account where you have, again, most of them, you'll have like maybe one account in there and that person will be your client and that person will be an admin, which is fine. But let's just say if you have a customer that has, 2 admins and they have 5 other workers, I would want the workers to ask the admins first the question of how do you fix this or how do you do it before the users just start going and willy-nilly go to help desk ticket and start putting in crap requests that the admin, probably is a better person to ask that question too. Hopefully that makes sense. See if there's any questions. Hey, Ryan, welcome from the Philippines. Awesome. No questions yet, so that's great. So the role visibility, I would sit back and just simply say, I like to use admin because if the admin is submitting the request, then the admin obviously doesn't know. And in doing this, you can train the admin on these questions. So moving forward, hopefully, the admin doesn't ask you the same question again. And you can train the admin to be better. And then the admin can now answer questions for the users, preventing more and more tickets inside of your ticketing system for very simple things. They could probably go to the help and find out. Okay. Now, these right here, I'm honestly not sure. I don't know if these are future ones, but I don't know, again, what those are for allowing access to microphones and camera. If you have any kind of an element for, I don't really have a good reason for that one, but you would just simply click save on this one and be done. Now, for here, I'm just going to edit this one and just show you. I got the that particular icon, help desk ticketing system. Here's the link. Sub account, all admins, none of that selected. That is how I set the custom menu link up. And now that I've got it, now all of my customers, when they log in, they see that custom menu link. Let's get back into the sub account. And this is how you can tell people to do things. If you have a question, if you need to contact us or contact our team regarding a technical question, please, pretty please with sugar on top, go to your menu, look on the left-hand side for help desk ticketing system. Here it is, and click on it. And then inside of here, fill out the form, submit it to our team, and then we'll get back to you. Okay? Awesome. So those are the user interfaces, and that is the delivery method of how you get it out to people. Now, the last thing I want to show you is some of the automations of how you handle workflow tickets when you get them submitted. Pause a minute and see if anybody has any questions. So I tell you what, let me just ask this. How many people are actually looking to implement this kind of a system? And I mean, I know I've gotten requests, but I was kind of hesitant about going over this topic with people. I just don't know how needy or wanting it is for people to be able to implement this. So if you can, if you're a member of my channel, by the way, I'm sorry if you're not a member, you don't get to comment on the videos. That is one of the things. Membership on my channel is very inexpensive, for the time that we were able to get here. So if you're not a member, join. You can hop on and start asking questions. Especially the good time is when we have our open Q&A for just let me help you out, what problems that you have, and so forth, because that's what I'm here for. Now, of course, I'm an affiliate for Highlevel if you don't know. So if you're still looking to sign up for Highlevel or upgrade, keep me in mind. That's all I ask. I do get compensated for it, and I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. That's what I'm here for. So awesome. So Sean, no, nothing yet. Very helpful. And let's just see. So this is for agencies to be able to help field support inquiries from the it's not for sub accounts to field questions from their customers. Exactly. Chad, that's a great point. So this right here is for agency owners to get support requests from their clients, not from their not from your clients to get support requests from their customers. Now, keep this in mind. You can implement the exact same system that we talked about here at a client level, Chad, to do exactly what you're talking about, if that's what you want. Okay. But again, Highlevel is not, it wasn't made to be a help desk ticketing system. There are a lot of other features that help desk ticketing systems have if you want to pay for them. And I haven't really looked through the marketplace to see if there's any integrations that are out there. There probably are to other ticketing systems. But at a basic level, if you need to implement a very basic ticketing system, a way for your customers to contact you and a way for you to respond, there's no reason why you can't build this. This system can handle all of those. Okay. So, and right now, if I had to pick one way, whether it be the form, the survey, or the quiz, I would honestly pick the survey as my favorite for this one, because it has a lot more of the logic built into it, and it has some of the data collections. You can see all the surveys that are submitted, and then all of the automations are automatically built around surveys, accessing the data and things like that. So right now, what I want to do is hop into automations. I'm going to come down here to help desk. And again, I didn't build anything out spectacular. But one of the things I do want to sit back and show you is, I think I was playing with this one here. So I'm going to delete that one. But this right here is basically one of the three triggers. You can either have, I'm going to try to blow this up, a trigger for survey submitted. There's this trigger for that. Just go select the survey that you want, and then boom, the quiz and the form submitted. So all of those are, oh, sorry about that. All of these are available as triggers so that any one of the ones that we went over are perfectly able to handle that. Now, as far as I know, there's no triggers yet on custom objects for it. If I'm not mistaken here, let me just see if I do objects. Yeah, I don't think Highlevel has quite gotten there to build the workflows and triggers around like new custom objects that are created. But that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to put it in this presentation. But here is where you guys can put any of the logic that you want. So here, if you want to create a task for somebody, create a task, input, title, new ticket from, click here, contact, full name, boom. So now a task gets created, new ticket from so-and-so. Input, this is where you can say, your if you want to have like, well, you've already got the contact, but let's just say they're Highlevel area. Yep. My typing is not that great. Sorry. So you come here, click on this, and you know what, guys, this is kind of a problem with the workflow. I saw, notice I'm limited here because of the way this thing is. it's cut off. I don't have access to all the menu option here. This is a problem I ran into and I wanted to point out. I don't have access to the customer here. And what I have to do is reduce my screen size a little bit. So sorry if it's getting crunched. But now when I come here, now notice that I have access to the contact area because it cut it off because of how the resolution on my screen was. But if I come here to contact, I can come down all the way to custom fields, and then I can come down to high level area and boom, put the high level area. So whatever they put in there, I can put inside of the ticket, and then I could just put, high level problem. And of course, by typing high level problem, do the exact same thing, come down to high level problem area. Now, who do I want to assign to? This is where you might have like, who is the help desk person? Who is the person that that needs to be doing this? And I'm just going to say, I'm going to make, John Smith, whoever the person is, maybe your go-to for all of your help desk tickets. That's the person that is going to get the ticket. If you're a single owner operator doing your agency, it could be you. So, and then due in, just say 1 day. Save action. I'm just going to save it. Boom. So when somebody creates a help desk ticket, boom, it creates a task. Once it creates a task, then what you can simply come here and do is an internal notification. Now, if you wanted to, you can just simply if you want to do an email or an SMS, it's up to you. If you're heavy on the mobile app, then you can just do a notification, and then notification should pop up on your mobile app if you're logged in. That just says, hey, new notification, and you can just say something like, new ticket from, just like we did before. Click here, contact, full name, put in the message, anything that you want there, but just, and all it does is just say, hey, we just got a new ticket. Click on this, go look at your task, and the task has all of the new ticket information in it. And from that particular perspective, again, I don't expect you to go back and look at the form or complete the form. The form and the visual interface, the survey, all the things that we talked about, that's just for getting the data into high level. Once it's into high level, this is the area that you're going to be using to do that. Now, if you want to get complicated, you can build a whole pipeline out for this. You can have a help desk pipeline where you have new requests. You can have requests waiting user. You can have finished requests. You can have anything like that. And then, use opportunities to like create new opportunities, put people in a pipeline and keep track of everything there if you wanted to. That's going to be completely up to you. But this is where you would just simply do all the tasks, the internal notifications, put them into a pipeline, whatever it is, however you want to keep track of people. This is what you would do. And it's not that hard to do that. Now, here's some of the problems. The problem is once you have a task, the good thing about it is that the task will stay inside of your system as a completed task. So you can always go back later and look and search your tasks for different things. Okay. So when you do that, this is where you can at least have some history for that. But again, if you use the survey does also have the ability to go back and look at all the surveys that were completed. And again, the survey is just a way to get data into the system. The survey itself, once you have the actual data, that would just be a way of looking. Yes, I see you submitted on this day a help desk ticket for so-and-so. But again, completing it and finishing it, this is however you want to do it here, whether it be task, whether it be in the pipeline or some other way that I haven't thought of here. But those are the simple methods of the user interface. Then you put that user interface into a funnel. You have a funnel page. Now you create a custom menu link and embed that at the agency level, deploy that to the sub account. So now people can see something. They have a visual interface without leaving high level. And I'm going to blow my screen back up here, back to 100%. All of that. And then when they submit the data, then you can have a simple workflow, one workflow. And you saw it just got a trigger, 2, 3, 4 steps. It does not have to be complicated from this. Now, if you wanted to, could you do things like we did have, remember and I'm just going to show this to you here for those people that want to go a little bit more technical. Hey, Ryan, I had a question here in the Philippine payments use. Can Zenit integrate with GHL? I don't know, Ryan. Right now, I try not to go that far off topic here, but I would just say contact support. I don't know if they do. I do know that High Level says They've opened up the API process for any payment processor that you could possibly work with to deal with. So I do know that Sean said that. So perfect. So we got everything is good to go. Now, let's just say if we wanted to do a logic statement here. And what I mean by this is that we have a high level area. Let's just say if you have a big enough team that you want certain people to handle certain areas. Like you might have a VA that's an expert on contacts and automation, another VA that's good at custom fields and whatever else that was in that list. So here you might want to do something like an if statement. Okay. So we have an if statement and we're going to do a branch. Let's just say this branch is what if they choose contacts? So here, what if we come here and say, okay, contact details. We come down here and say, let's just say high level area is contacts. Okay. And then we can come here and say, or the contacts, because we can access the custom fields here. The high level area is automation. Okay. That would be one branch. Then we can add another branch. And this isn't complete. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly to show you guys. But here you can have custom fields and just go do the same thing. The high level area is custom fields. And I'm just going to click save action. Just save it and make sure we're all good here. Now, if you take a look here, now you have a conditional if statement that says if they choose contacts, then you can sit back and add. Notice that the add task is over here. Notice I can sit back and say, okay, John, John Smith, if you remember, that's who we chose for that task. He gets all the contacts and automations. But if it's a custom field, oh, no. John sucks at custom fields. He can't do that. So now I'm going to create a task. But this task, I'm going to do the exact same thing. But now I'm going to assign this to Jane Smith because Jane is really good at custom fields. And I'll create a task for her. So that could be a way if you do have a team broken out to notify people. Or if you don't even want to use a task, you could just create an email. You can just email a team member and put all of that information inside of the email for it. But the problem with that is when you don't create something that can be completed like a task or add a note to a contact record or something like that, you have the inability to lose the information. There's no way to keep track of it. If you create a task, and the task, even if completed, you can go back and still see the task later. So hopefully that makes sense. So guys, that's really about all I had. I know this is a little bit shorter. We're really about on time. But does anybody have any questions? I'm just going to wait a minute here. I know we have a few people left on here, but that's how you would build a very simple, basic help desk ticketing system inside of Highlevel. And again, if you start getting a lot more volume and you need a little bit more help, then I would say you probably need to work on your systems and processes inside of your business because you shouldn't have customers contacting you again, unless Highlevel itself is having a problem. So if they're having a problem with their back end, their infrastructure, and things aren't working right, because I do know they did have that problem after last year in the summit. They came out with hundreds of new features. This is when the voice AI employee, and all that stuff came out. I think they did have a problem with workflows stopped working or something like that when they were implementing something. That is a legitimate problem. If a customer contacts you, hey, we're not getting notified, or, people aren't, if you're doing reputation management, hey, my new customers aren't being notified about leaving a review. What's going on, Ray? What's happening? So hopefully that makes sense. And I just want to wait a few minutes here. And I want to just appreciate, Sean, Chad, I appreciate you hopping on. Ryan, appreciate you guys hopping on and asking some questions. So, if nobody has any questions, that's really about it, guys. A help desk ticketing system is not that hard to implement. But again, if you start getting a lot of tickets, you might want to look at why. Why are you getting a lot of tickets? And then when you start seeing the same question over and over again, then obviously that's going to prompt you to, well, we got to fix this. Let's add something to our onboarding that covers this so that people know. So guys, that's really it. I appreciate you being on, and just, you guys have a great day. See you next week.